Welcome everyone to today's video. It's nice to see you here again. I'm going to be continuing today the theme of the month, the concept we've been talking about, which is this concept of vairagyam, which means detachment. And what I thought we'd look at today, just to take a slightly different perspective on this practice or this way of living that is known as detachment, is that we just look for a brief moment at what the Bhagavad Gita, one of the great ancient texts of wisdom, has to say about the practice of detachment. And in fact, when you look at the Bhagavad Gita, you find that actually one of the key concepts that is talked about is this idea of karma yoga. Now, whilst we won't go into the depths of what karma yoga is today, what we will do is focus on the aspect of karma yoga that is intimately linked and related to the practice of detachment. So, to give an example, imagine if you spend a significant period of time in your life working towards a particular goal. That goal may be to buy a house, that goal may be to achieve something in your career, it may be to consolidate something in your relationship, it might be in relation to personal change or transformation. But whatever it is, let us just make the assumption that we are spending a significant amount of time and a significant amount of energy pursuing the particular goal in question. Now, as is natural in the way that we normally function, when we put a lot of energy, when we put a lot of effort into pursuing or achieving a goal, it is natural, in inverted commas, that if we achieve that goal, we can be very, very happy or elated or joyous perhaps. But similarly, by equal measure in the opposite direction, if we don't achieve that goal, if we don't get the promotion, if we don't get the outcome that we've been working so hard towards, that can equally lead to disappointment or confusion or anger or being sad and so forth. So what that shows us is that we attach to the effort that tries to drive us towards one of our goals. And what that essentially says is that when we attach to that effort, it causes a duality in the response. So we're either going to be happy if we get the desired goal, or we're going to be sad, for simplicity's sake, if we don't achieve that particular goal. And this is where the Bhagavad Gita and the wisdom of Krishna comes in, as enshrined in the text. And basically it says that one of the fundamental or core practices of karma yoga is to be able to work fully and completely in the present moment to achieve a goal, but at the same time to be able to detach completely from the fruit of the action. In simpler terms, what that is saying is that you work really, really hard in the present moment, really trying to refine your effort, really trying to do everything you can in order to achieve the said goal. But then when the result of those actions come, i.e. you either achieve that goal or you don't achieve that goal, one detaches from the duality of the response. So one detaches from being depressed or sad if, for example, we don't reach that goal. And as with all of these things of a spiritual nature, it sounds very, very simple when we just state it in words, but the reality is somewhat different. How can we, for example, work so hard towards a given goal without being attached to the outcome? And the answer to that really does lie in practice, which points us back to yoga, of which the Bhagavad Gita is one of the foundational texts. So through practicing drawing ourselves inwards, for example, through practicing even the practice that I uploaded last week where we were chanting Ma with an inner focus, is a way of drawing our attention away from the external, away from attachment to thought and to narrative and to externalized goals, and trying to find a comfort, a fulfillment, a completeness in our center, in our heart space, which completely supersedes any form of external achievement that we may or may not have revealed in our day-to-day lives. So by going inwards and by practicing maintaining equanimity and balance in this inner state, whatever happens in the external world, we can actually receive the fruit of our actions with equanimity and with a balanced mind. So the goal of karma yoga essentially is to remain calm when the fruits of our action manifest, even if the fruits of those actions are not the anticipated fruits. So again, this is something that we can reflect on in our own time. But another thing that we can say here about karma yoga is the fact that actually this is a way to maintain balance in everyday life. Imagine if we are actually able to give everything that we need to give, but at the same time remain detached. And a great example of this in the modern era is what we might call activism. So for example, people can be very passionate about the environment. People can be very passionate about politics. People can be very passionate about gender issues, or whatever it may be that we are passionate about societally or in our communities. But what we may notice is that if we really try to push in order to achieve a certain goal, like for example to have a particular politician elected, or for a particular piece of legislation to be passed in the government that helps to move us towards more environmental awareness or balance, or whatever it might be, we become attached to the fruits of our actions. And therefore, if the politician that we voted for doesn't move into power, or if the bill that we voted for doesn't actually come to pass, and there are negative reactions or responses because of that, we actually start to get angry and we start to get depleted and exhausted as a result of feeling frustrated with the world. And this is what the Bhagavad Gita also asks us to consider. The reason it's asking us to detach from the fruit of our action is because it says ultimately we are not in control. And ultimately everything is unfolding in just the way that it's meant to be. And who are we as limited minds, as limited physical beings, to even have the ability to understand what is best and what is not? So it says, yes, absolutely, have your views and do your best according to those views and try to bring peace and try to bring love and try to bring compassion to the world. Try to bring all of those qualities into your family, into your relationships, into your work life, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, realize there is only so much that you can do. And therefore, in order to continue perpetuating peace, love, and compassion, even when things don't go your way, is not to pour the opposites of those energies into the world. So when you see people walking down the street screaming and looking really angry, saying, "We want peace," the reality is that they're saying that they want peace, but at the same time, the energy that they're giving off is anything but peaceful. And so the Bhagavad Gita is saying is what is much more important is that we are trying to practice being connected to that peaceful center at all times, because that is likely to perpetuate an energy of peace. And also at the same time, to be able to surrender to the absolute enormity of all of the different conditions that are mingling in any one moment to create any one or a number of circumstances that we are not in control of. So being able to accept that we are not in control and being comfortable with that, being able to accept that we can apply our effort judiciously and intelligently in each of the arenas and domains of our lives, but at the same time being able to let go of the results of those actions, whether they are good or bad, and remain in a state of equanimity, really is the middle path or the middle way that is described in the Bhagavad Gita. In essence, we live in the world, we undertake our duties and responsibilities, we try to dispense love and compassion and peace at all times. But at the same time, we are aware that we are something deeper and greater than the body and the mind. And when we rest in that space, everything we need is taken care of. And at that point, we realize that all of the things that we're striving for in the external world really pale into insignificance against the experience of actually connecting into the heart space and feeling the fullness, the bliss, and the peace and stability and mental equanimity that that brings. So feel free to pick up a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. The one that I always recommend is the one by Eknath Eswaran. It's beautifully translated. It's quite simple and easy to understand, at least at the surface level. And at the same time, also reflect within your own life. What is it that you're trying to achieve at the moment? What is it that you are attached to? And how might you respond if things don't go your way as you perceive them? Perhaps when the fruits come in, are you able to detach and sit back and allow things to be as they are and practice being balanced and practice having mental equanimity even in times of adversity? So thank you as always for joining. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Namaste.